Hello, good viber. How are you doing today? It is your girl Esther Joy coming at you with another video. On this channel, we love to talk about love, light, joy, and peace. And today we have a special theological video where we're going to be exploring the nature of the universe, the nature of how the universe was created, and a little bit about the light and dark aspects that create our wonderful reality. So let's dive into it, shall we? I'm really excited, and I should start off with a disclaimer that I am by no means an expert in any way. I am just interested in the topic, and I thought it would be really fun to talk about it to hopefully just enlighten some other people on this topic, and of course get your input and, be able to start a little collective collaboration on this. So please feel free to leave any comments or ideas or thoughts in the comments as we talk about this. Okay, so let's just start off by saying I've been feeling very led for a while to talk a little bit about the nature of reality and us being created in this wonderful world and this highly realistic stimulation, which is so amazing that our souls can learn so much in. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that we are just literal vibrating particles, and 99% of us are literal just like space, okay? There's space in between those particles, and we just vibrate so fast. To the naked eye, we look fully together. But the only reason that my fingers don't collapse and go through one another is because they have a polarizing touch, okay? Now, this is all really wonderful, beautiful stuff, and it's just so beautifully made, don't you think? Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about in this video again about the nature of the universe as it has been created from as far as we know it. Now, we have come to try to track, the nature of the universe and how it's been created and where it's been created. I'm sure as long as we can ever imagine, mankind has been here. And I think a lot of people have concluded that when God said, "Let there be light," and a lot of people believe that that is a big bang, and I don't understand why there is such an argument between the two. They're literal the same thing, just different facets and perspectives of the same thing. Bam. There's light, there's life. The world was with void, now it has light. God is the word, God spoke it, now it's here. He woke it, okay? He spoke it, he woke it, and now we're aware. And that's how that is pretty much when consciousness first came aware to us on earth, and we were able to comprehend what was going on. Now, there are a lot of other things we could say, God, if we're living in his dream where everything is technically this omnipotent force being created from the same one source, then did it just spark awareness and then we all popped up out of here and, started bringing more awareness? Now, all right, let's not go too much down that rabbit hole. Let's stop it. We're going to be really just talking about the nature of that light and darkness today in this video. I think it's something that I will probably be making many more videos to come on the topic, but let's do our best in this one to really talk about it, okay? So starting off, I wanted to just let me throw some some ideas your way, okay? So holograms are really just three-dimensional projections of light. They are really amazing, and it is very similar to a triangle in the way they has to have these three facets, these three sides of the light, and which is when it looks three-dimensional because the two photons or the two light rays that are being usually shown when they split and then they converge back again, they create this third-dimensional perception instead of like me on a screen, which is two-dimensional, okay? I have been looking into holograms because I personally, for my own studies, I would love to assist in creating future technology that implements more holograms, and I think our reality is the the best example, okay? Like, literally the most high-tech holograms we're probably ever going to experience. We're experiencing them right now, okay, fam? Now, here's the thing. When I was talking about those two rays splitting into one, if we look at the Holy Trinity, which I love because the number 3 to me just has such spiritual significance, when we look at the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, we can see that the Father split themselves into 2 rays, and those 2 rays were able to now perceive themselves in this 3rd dimensional plane of existence, if that makes sense. So the consciousness itself is a light, and it split off so that it was able to perceive itself in the 3rd dimension. Okay, so I think that's pretty simple enough to explain, and hopefully you understood it, but there's so much more to the nature of light and consciousness and darkness and what's the word? Not unconsciousness, but unconsciousness could work. Ignorance, I think. Ignorance is a word, I think. But let's just talk about it. I think both of them are very important, and they're needed to perceive in the 3rd dimensional plane, because if you just had light, of course, it would also be kind of formless, and the same will happen if you just had darkness. It would be a formless void, and you can see that in Genesis 1, and the first verse literally was, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth without form, void, darkness was upon the face of deep. And literal, like, darkness is like ignorance, which is void, because there's no comprehension in darkness, and that is the incomprehensible. And when the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, which is another description for this very malleable, flexible creation void force that did not have a actual form, which was ignorant, when the Spirit of God moved through that water and said, let there be light, and there was light, that was consciousness inflicting consciousness upon itself in a way. And if we look into the Big Bang, or how they measured that, is through cosmic microwaves, which are literal just very, very small waves, again, because we're all just vibrating particles. They were able to track back these waves and the actual resonance of these waves from a very long period to track it back, and that's pretty much how they did their measurements. But I really don't know if they're legitimate or not, and I don't think any of us can, because we can't really go back in time like that. But it did give us an understanding that, hey, yeah, like, this happened, and this actually affected consciousness, and consciousness is pretty much the nature of all of reality. And there's just consciousness and unconsciousness, ignorance and understanding. So those 2 things, really great. Like, if that's all you get from this video, I'm a-okay with that. And now we actually look, and if you look into Proverbs 20 verse 27, when it says the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all inwards parts of the belly. Now, first of all, we can see that there's a lot of fire referencing, there's a lot of solar plexus being referenced during this one, and it's also showing that in us ourselves, we have a consciousness that is given, because again, we are all parts of the Creator. We are just divine facets of the Creator, oneness consciousness. We have a candle, which is our consciousness. What are we consciously paying attention to? Hey, are you looking at me? Are you paying attention to me? That's you, like, with your candle, just shining a candle on the void, okay? And that's when it is no longer void. And to search all inward parts of the belly. Now, that is really interesting. When we look at the solar plexus, not only do we have wisdom, actions, and our own self-worth, but there's a lot of other wonderful, very divinely driven by the sun energies that are there. Now, I just wanted to acknowledge that we have our own little conscious flashlight. We have our own little awareness flashlight that allows us to see all of this and be able to perceive all of this. We are also aware that there are things that we are unaware of, and these are the ignorant parts. Now, I wanted to address the ignorant parts, or the darker sides of reality, that a lot of people do not like, simply because they don't understand it. And that's totally understandable. That is a part of how we are made, but there has to be a balance between the two for our form in this reality to take place, okay? And that is why man is natural, that's why we are born sinners, because that sin is almost coming from a place of ignorance, if you will, okay? If you really understood how divine and magnificent and full of pure potential you really are, I don't feel like you would actually sin for any God-given reason. But there is darkness and there is ignorance, and that is when sin comes into play. And I will say that that leaves a bitter taste in people's mouths, but there is a balance between this, okay? This allows our awareness of Christ consciousness, of oneness consciousness, of God to be there and present, because we have this thing in our hearts that's monitoring us like a literal, moral compass. Now, it's really important that we aware that any blockages, I'm tying this back now into, you can see God as both, but we generally only associate them with the light because they are this divine consciousness that is permeating all things. And you can see the darkness as that blank canvas where they are dancing upon. Now, we must acknowledge the darker parts of ourselves. I'm not saying make out with them, but if you don't acknowledge them, then they will remain ignorant. And there's so much light that you can receive if you shine your light on that, and you will be able to mold it in a way that will best serve you, or else it will just be a stumbling block that you will fall upon over and over again. You must acknowledge the darker parts of yourself. You have to, okay? And I'm not trying to force you to. That's something that everyone will do in their own time. But when we are able to really see this balance of the light and the darkness to create this one reality that we are currently a part of, we are able to live a more harmonious life. Now, going back into when we were talking about holograms, we were talking about the Holy Trinity, we can see darkness is playing a part when we talk about us, the sun, or mankind and our ignorance. But there's also really important and fun part when we talk about, yes, our body is like a wonderful prism vessel. When we talk about the chakras, and we really see that God is this light that pours within us, and the reason why the chakras are all the colors of the rainbow, other than that those are just light at different densities, it allows us to also literally see where certain energy is lying and increase our awareness, our conscious awareness of what is going on. So what do I mean by this? Blocks are simply ignorance. That sounds so sad. I don't even want to say ignorance. It's just this unknowing that is lurking within you. A block is just this unknowing, and it could be something, and a lot of the times different levels of the chakras mean different aspects of yourself you are ignorant of. So with the root chakra, you could be ignorant of what you are fearful about, and it could slowly be controlling your life. Or with the sacral chakra, it could be what you're emotionally attached to, and so on and so forth. And these blocks are just unconscious habits or patterns or limitations that we have put on ourselves without even realizing it. And yes, you can clear all blocks by becoming aware of them and allowing yourself to surrender to the darkness in a way that you are not holding on to the darkness, but you are fully aware of it, and you are allowing it to release by itself through God consciousness, oneness consciousness, source's name, and it will become what it is supposed to be. It will become aware, and it will be conscious, and it will help you in your quest to become more conscious, if you will. Now, with that being said, this reality really does need both of these aspects to thrive and to be alive. So yes, I can't see what's going on in the back of my head. I'm not really conscious of it as much as I am talking to you but it's all playing a part, you know, fam? So yeah, without making this video too much longer, I just really wanted to say that everything is divinely as it should be. The darkness and the lightness, all of the polarities, they are playing their part, and you are so divinely created. And if you are watching this video, I just want you to know how special and beautiful and divine you are, and how wonderful it really is to be alive and to understand this and to continue to cultivate your awareness and consciousness on the wonderful fact that you are alive and aware of this, and that you are living in the Creator's dream as them, interacting with them. We are all truly one. And again, fam, if you like this video, press a thumbs up so I know so right now, and can continue to make more videos like this one. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say in the comments down below, because again, I'm just learning more and more about this stuff, and I love to hear what you are thinking about currently. So yeah, without further ado, have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.